Hello, and thank you for joining us today to learn more about the Florida Rural Infrastructure Fund, also known as RIF. My name is Kate Doyle, and I'm the Interim Deputy Secretary of the Division of Community Development at Florida Commerce. I'd also like to introduce Pam Portwood, our Bureau Chief of Bureau of Small and Rural Communities, as well as Kristen Bashirs, our new Rural Infrastructure Fund Program Manager. Florida Commerce's building is closed due to a weather closure, but we are running this webinar remotely and wanted to make sure that you're provided with technical assistance on this important funding source for your communities. Before we get started, just so that you know, the meeting is being recorded and will be posted to the RIF webpage, which is www.floridajobs.org/RIF within 2 business days, along with a PDF of the slide deck. We're excited to share that in November of 2023, the Florida legislature passed and Governor DeSantis signed into law new legislation allocating an additional $5 million to the RIF program to fund projects in Hurricane Idalia impacted communities. The following counties and municipalities within those counties are eligible to apply: Columbia, Dixie, Gilchrist, Hamilton, Jefferson, Lafayette, Levy, Madison, Suwannee, and Taylor. Florida Commerce is responsible for administering these funds. We hope that today's informational webinar benefits your project development efforts. We look forward to supporting projects that will have positive long-term impacts on your residents, community, and local economy. Now let's get started. Today's webinar will provide you with an overview of the rural infrastructure, as well as information and guidance on the application cycle. The goal of today's webinar is to help facilitate your efforts to develop a project application that supports and improves your local economy. Today in our presentation, we will begin with an overview of the Rural Infrastructure Fund program and an overview of House Bill 1209 from last legislative session. We'll then talk through other details of the RIF program and application process, such as the RIF fiscal year 2023 to 2024, Hurricane Idalia appropriation and grant categories, program application review factors, application cycle information, application development tips, and online application submission portal process and tips. We'll save questions and answers until the end of the presentation, but please feel free to submit your questions in the chat feature at any time during the presentation. If your question doesn't get addressed, please email rif@commerce.fl.gov. The Rural Infrastructure Fund program is a state-funded grant managed program administered by Florida Commerce's Bureau of Small Cities and Rural Communities. The RIF program is one of Florida Commerce's economic development, workforce, and business development tools that provides funding assistance for the planning, preparing, and financing of infrastructure projects in rural communities, which will encourage job creation, capital investment, and strengthening diversification of rural economies. It is intended to facilitate access of rural communities to other state and federal infrastructure funding programs, such as those listed on the slide. This program is governed by Section 288.0655 Florida statutes. During the 2023 legislative session, House Bill 1209 passed and included several changes to the statutes governing the RIF program. This slide provides a summary of the substantive changes. The maximum award amount was increased from 50% of the total project infrastructure cost for all infrastructure construction projects to 75% of total infrastructure project cost, or 100% for infrastructure projects located in a rural community that is in a fiscally constrained county or a rural area of opportunity. It also allows for the maximum award amount of $300,000 for all planning projects with no local match requirements. Previously, planning projects outside of a rural area of opportunity or a RAO were limited to $50,000 to $150,000 with significant job creation requirements. It also requires a review of applications, include an evaluation of the economic benefit and long-term viability. This has always been a consideration, but it is now a requirement in the review process. House Bill 1209 provides that an eligible grantee may receive direct payment for performance under its agreement with Florida Commerce without being required to spend its own cash first. Eligible grantees are rural communities or rural areas of opportunity as defined by Section 288.0656, subsection 2, Florida statutes. All agreements with eligible grantees will include language to allow for this direct payment option, including all RIF agreements, because of all RIF eligible local governments are eligible for this direct payment option. The procedure for exercising this option is that the rural community or rural area of opportunity must demonstrate a financial hardship. The rural community or rural area of opportunity, also known as a RAO, located in a fiscally constrained county, as defined in Section 218.67, subsection 1, Florida statutes, is deemed to have demonstrated a financial hardship. In either case, the grantee must request in writing to exercise the direct payment option. If you are unsure if your community or county is fiscally constrained as defined by statute, Florida Commerce can define that for you. Can verify that for you. The payment request documentation requirements for eligible or approved RIF grantees under the direct payment option will be the same process as previous reimbursement requests, except that the proof of payment will not be required. This means that deliverables must be completed and submitted with the payment request, and subcontractor invoices detailing services provided must be provided, but proof of payment documentation such as canceled checks, bank statements, may be excluded from the payment request documentation. In November 2023, the Florida legislature passed and Governor DeSantis signed into law new legislation allocating an additional $5 million to the RIF program to fund projects in Hurricane Idalia impacted communities. The following counties and municipalities within these counties are eligible to apply: Columbia, Dixie, Gilchrist, Hamilton, Jefferson, Lafayette, Levy, Madison, Suwannee, and Taylor. Florida Commerce completed a fiscal year 2023-2024 RIF application cycle in November 2023 with more than $24 million in awards to 16 rural communities. Here's a map that's highlighting the Hurricane Idalia impacted area and eligible counties. Once again, those eligible counties include Columbia, Dixie, Gilchrist, Hamilton, Jefferson, Lafayette, Levy, Madison, Suwannee, and Taylor counties, as well as the municipalities within those counties. There are 3 grant categories under which you can apply for RIF funding. The first is the Total Project Participation Grant. This is for infrastructure construction projects. These awards are intended to facilitate and maximize use of state, federal, local, and private resources. The maximum award amount is 75% of the total project infrastructure cost for projects located in a rural community, or 100% of the total project infrastructure costs for projects located in a rural community within fiscally constrained county or rural areas of opportunity. The application should clearly demonstrate the need of the infrastructure project in attracting job creation and capital investment. While a participating party, also known as a job creator, is no longer required, projects that include a participating party should provide participating party documentation that ties the infrastructure project to specific job creation and capital investment opportunities. Some examples include local regional economic development plan that identifies specific infrastructure needs for attracting particular industries, or documentation from local regional economic development professionals, organizations of failed business industry recruitment based on lack of proper infrastructure, etc. Eligible uses of funds under this category include improvements to public infrastructure for industrial or commercial sites and improvements to inadequate infrastructure that has resulted in regulatory action. Authorized infrastructure may include the following: stormwater systems, telecommunications facilities excluding broadband, roads or other remedies to transportation impediments, other physical requirements to facilitate economic development activities in the community. The next grant category is the project planning and preparation grants. This category is appropriate for planning projects that do not include construction activities. The maximum award amount is $300,000 with no local fund match requirements. Funds awarded under the project planning and participation and preparation grant category may be used for infrastructure feasibility studies, design and engineering activities, or other infrastructure planning and preparation activities. Grants awarded under this category may be used in conjunction with total participation grants. The third category is the pre-clearance review grants. These grants enable rural communities to potentially utilize the expedited permitting pre-clearance review process as outlined in Section 403.973, subsection 17, Florida statutes. Funds awarded under this category may be used for surveys, feasibility studies, and other activities related to the identification of land which may be suitable for pre-clearance review of specified types of land uses and other activities requiring permits. As shown in the table provided, projects located outside Arroyo may be awarded up to $75,000 with a 50% local match requirement. Projects located within Arroyo or within a catalyst site, as defined in Section 288.0656 Florida statutes, may be awarded up to $300,000 with no match requirement. Let's go through some of the application review factors. Evaluation of all applications, no matter the grant category, will include, but may not be limited to, evaluation of economic benefits of the project and long-term viability, the project's potential for enhanced job creation or capital investment, demonstration and level of public and private commitment. Additionally, grant administrative and consultant expenses should be minimized to the greatest extent possible. The application cycle opened on December 15th, 2023, and will close on Monday, February 5th, 2024 at 5 p.m. Eastern Time. Applications may be submitted electronically through the fiscal year 2023-24 RIF application portal or mailed to Florida Commerce at the Bureau of Small Cities and Rural Communities. Applications submission requirements and instructions, program guidelines, and other relevant information is available at floridajobs.org/RIF. Let's go through some more application development tips. Part 1, applicant profile. This section includes contact information for the local government applicant, including the applicant project contact. This contact should be an individual to respond to specific questions regarding the application or proposed project. Part 2, project description and timeline. Project description should begin with a clear statement of what RIF funds will be used for. For example, the project proposes to use RIF funding to provide wastewater services to the project XYZ site, including improvements to the wastewater treatment plant and extension of wastewater lines to the site. Application instructions provide specific information that should be included in the project description. Part 3, economic narrative. This section should provide concise yet comprehensive information that demonstrates the economic development, benefit, and long-term viability of the project. Applicants should focus on demonstrating and documenting the need for the infrastructure in attracting business industry that will create jobs and increase capital investment. Part 4, project budget. Be sure to include the total infrastructure project cost, not just the portions requested to be funded with RIF funds. Double check the project costs prior to submission. Provide a clear description of how project costs were estimated. Project 5, sources and uses of non-RIF funds. List of sources of funds for all costs listed in other funding sources column of the project budget. Project Part 6, participating party information. As mentioned previously, participating party is no longer a requirement for the total project participation grants, but having a participating party provides demonstration of direct economic benefit and specific job creation. Part 7, application authorization. Applications must be signed by the chief elected official or delegated representative. Applications must be signed by a representative other than applications signed by one other than the chief elected official must include a letter of delegation signed by the chief elected official. Following are some tips guidelines on online submission of the application. Applicants must register for an individual link to the application submission portal. The link for the registration is available at floridajobs.org/RIF. The registration must include the name and contact information of the local government representative. Individual links to the application submission portal will be emailed within 2 business days of the request. Download the application form and instructions from www.floridajobs.org/RIF. What you'll need to do is complete the application form, gather all supporting documents, and save in PDF format before you begin submission through the application portal. Note that some application information is requested to also be completed in the application portal. Therefore, it's helpful to have the application handy for reference. Be sure to complete all relevant sections and upload all relevant supporting documents. The application portal auto saves as you go. There is no save button. When you see the message below, you are at the end of the application. Once you click the next button at the bottom of this page, the application is submitted. You cannot go back to make edits, and the individual link will no longer work. You can download a copy of your application submission by clicking the download PDF link. This concludes our presentation. As a reminder, a recording of this webinar along with the PDF of the slide deck will be posted on the RIF webpage within 2 business days. If you have any questions, please make sure that they're typed in the chat feature. We'll now take a minute to gather any questions that were submitted during the presentation and be back to answer your questions. Okay, it looks like some folks are typing in a question here, so we're going to kind of just hold briefly while we see these questions coming in. Okay, I can see that there may be a little bit more. Okay, hold on just a moment. Let me review this question that's coming in. Okay, in terms of questions that we have here today, I think that some of these questions that we have here might be better to answer kind of one-on-one so that we can provide kind of nuances and technical assistance on that. So what we're going to do is have the team members reach out to you tomorrow to kind of talk through some of these issues. So we will get that set up. So I don't see any further questions. So thank you so much for your patience while we were going through waiting to review those questions. If your question is not addressed, please email riff@commerce.fl.gov, and we will also be reaching out to folks regarding those questions. So thank you so much for participating in the RIF application webinar. If you have any further questions or if you'd like to discuss specific project ideas, questions, you may contact us using the information listed on this slide.